A man and his family, settlers in a small community in post-Civil War Georgia, beset by strange happenings, such as household items tossed about by unseen hands, scorching hot bricks falling from the sky, and eventually an attempt to leave behind the frightening aggression from an unseen force, only to have it follow.
The paranormal events in Surrency, Georgia, have been considered one of the most widely witnessed and reported paranormal events in U.S. history. And at the time, it drew in thrill seekers and gawkers for miles around.
But what exactly happened? And are there any facts related to this mysterious case of alleged paranormal activity? Thank you for joining us for this installment of the Supernatural Tendencies podcast. Be sure to stay tuned to the end for this week's Musician Spotlight, featuring the band Leechwife. I'm Alex.
And I'm Christy.
And this is episode 17, The Surrency Haunting.
In October of 1872, Confederate Army veteran, settler, and sawmill operator Allen Powell Surrency returned home from a visit to a neighboring town to find his recently established homestead, a two-story farmhouse, in the midst of an active vandalization. Upon entry, he found assorted housewares, food from the pantry, books, irons, and other belongings, all vibrating and shaking with enough force to throw much of them to the ground, shattering anything breakable. Surrency thought maybe the house was trembling from an earthquake, but the house itself was not shaking. It was as if someone was tearing through his home, a path of destruction, wide and all-encompassing, except there was no visible source to the raiding.
That day was the start of a very long and increasingly aggressive encounter for the Surrency family. Alan Surrency himself described the first experience to the Savannah Morning News. Quote, "A few minutes after my arrival, I saw glass tumblers begin to slide off the slab and the crockery to fall upon the floor and break. The books began to tumble from their shelves, while brick bats, billets of wood, smoothing irons, biscuits, potatoes, tin pans, water buckets, pitchers, and etc. began to fall in different parts of my house."
The account would be far from the last time the house was ransacked. In fact, the entire family would regularly witness clocks spinning out of time, chairs moving on their own, inanimate objects suddenly leaping from their positions on the shelves. In time, the activity escalated to voices, screams, items in hand suddenly jerked away, and even boots walking themselves about the house. Reports state that Surrency's preteen daughter, Clementine, was a favored victim. She would often have her hair pulled, her blankets yanked off her in the night. At one point, she found herself returning home along the front path, when suddenly a storm of hot bricks began to fall from the sky. While none hit her, it was a terrifying experience.
Many of the Surrency family members would also experience such violent attacks. Clementine's brother was attacked by an andiron, it floating out of the fireplace to strike him before returning to its place. Mrs. Surrency would find herself faced with the contents of her sewing kit as it flew around the room after jumping from her hands, as well as having to chase down baked goods as they zoomed from the oven. Tales of the supernatural activity spread far and wide, drawing spectators and thrill-seekers from across the country to the small town. Journalists, skeptics, and spiritualists came to catch a glimpse of the strange happenings on the Surrency property. None were disappointed, as whatever was haunting the location seemed to love an audience.
Many would be watching as household articles would leap from the shelves to fly about the room. Logs fly from the fireplace, or one of the even more bizarre instances, bewildered livestock from the yard materializing in the living room before an audience of reporters. The story of the haunting would become a national tale, witnessed by hundreds. Eventually, not even the attention from the public could ease the terror of living in the house with such an active and many times violent entity. Surrency would move his family to another property across the county to retreat from the attacks. This did little to slow the onslaught of strangeness. Whatever had terrorized the Surrency family on their homestead followed them, continuing its assault on Alan Surrency's family.
Realizing it had followed him, Surrency returned his family to the original homestead, where the entity would continue harassing the family until Surrency died in 1877. Just as quickly as it had begun, the grieving family was suddenly free of the ever-present and offensive being, and it would continue to bring those fascinated by the haunting. Alan Surrency's family remained in the quiet home until 1925, when it burned down and the family moved on. Many people of the time, and even now, wonder why the haunting suddenly stopped with his death. Was it a poltergeist attached to himself? Or maybe the young Clementine harbored unknown psychic abilities? With Surrency's death, rumors circulated mentioning the use of black magic or dark rituals, though none were ever founded. But it is quite strange that the haunting went quiet after Surrency's death.
Many skeptics point to some type of geological phenomenon. Ghost lights or small balls of swamp gas are common in the area. Even now, there are still those who travel to see the ghost light along the railroad tracks on the edge of the Attamaha River swamp. In 1985, it was discovered that there was indeed a strange anomaly in the earth below Surrency, Georgia. Geologists from Cornell University discovered a mid-crustal reflector some 16 kilometers below the surface, and they dubbed it the Surrency Bright Spot. Using seismic reflection technology, the scientists were able to determine a contact lens-shaped reflector, possibly of water or some other liquid, sitting about 9 miles under Surrency. It was more than likely created during crustal shifts during the Paleozoic era, capturing some type of fluid or substance in a convex shape about 2 miles wide and reflecting penetrative radio waves at a higher degree than the material around it.
So this begs the question on why the family was tormented so. Did Alan Surrency practice some type of dark magic? Was Clementine scared of her possible psychic powers? Was there a malicious being linked to Surrency, hell-bent on tormenting his family until it was released at his death? A poltergeist, as most paranormal experts have claimed? Or was it a geological activity, coincidentally ending at the same time as Alan Powell Surrency's death? Or could it be just clever theatrics put on by an entrepreneurial family to entertain their newfound audience?
The Surrency story has faded with time, and much of the details have been whittled down to what you find here, so we may never know who or what caused the most witnessed paranormal event in United States history. The few remaining residents of Surrency, Georgia, rarely hear talk of it anymore, though it has captured the active minds of many, still seeking an answer. Some still visit the area, hoping to see something strange, and who knows, maybe they will.
We are rolling.
Hold on, I need another sip of coffee.
No, more coffee.
If you shut up.
Is that your second cup of coffee since I've been here?
Possibly.
And then did you have tea before that?
Possibly.
Like, we need to record quick, because you're going to be peeing the rest of the
once
night.
those floodgates open.
Like, there's no way around it.
The party has started.
You had a cup of tea, and then 2 cups. Who has a cup of tea and then 2 cups of coffee?
I was thirsty.
Man, you couldn't have mixed in a water?
Oh, I'm not a fan of water.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, let's move on because I'm going to talk about that the entire time.
I like
how
talking
that's
about
baffling.
coffee.
We are here this week with a vengeance.
Are we with a vengeance?
I'm gonna bring that to the table.
I don't know if I'm up to vengeance.
I'm raring to go, like Tango and Cash. I'm Tango and Cashing it this week. And if you're not the Cash to my Tango or the Tango to my Cash, I will be both.
Do I get more coffee?
I don't even care, but I need a Cash.
All right.
Are you Tango or are you Cash?
I don't know.
You don't know. If you don't know what Tango and Cash is, you have no idea what I'm
We're
talking about.
We're screwed from the very beginning.
Look up Tango and Cash.
Look up Tango and
We
Cash.
are Tango and Cash today. So we're here today with the Surrency haunting.
And coffee.
And coffee. Are we back to that already?
Mm-hmm.
I thought we've established that was over. We are talking about the Surrency haunting. And besides this being a crazy case, we'll get into why I believe it's a crazy case. On top of it being a crazy case in itself, this is the first episode we've had written by somebody else who is not us. This was written by our very own Cynthia Repke, who does a show on
Supernatural Tendencies TV.
Yes, she does.
On Facebook.
Yep. Before she took on that role that she's in now, she spent a solid 3 months on writing material for an 8-minute episode. Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you, Cindy.
She will get the joke. She will get the reference. She will laugh.
Yeah. She will get the joke. She will laugh.
So we have to thank Miss Repke for that because it's been a fascinating episode to research. I say that because of how straightforward this case is. Like, I shouldn't even say that. I think that's misworded. When you research this case, if you just go ahead and Google the Surrency haunting, it's kind of hard to find like information on it. Like most of the information is the same information repeated
throughout.
Yeah. So when you find different pages, it's just repeating the same stuff. So you have this decently consistent story no matter what kind of research you do. Unfortunately, even though it is consistent, it's a very short story.
Yeah, there's not very much elaboration.
And then you have this duality with this special case of having this consistent story that's kind of short, but then it keeps being said that it's one of the most well-known hauntings of all time. And I don't know how many of you listeners have ever heard of this, but I have never heard of the Surrency haunting.
Really?
I have. You have?
Yeah.
From where?
I spend a lot of time on Pinterest, and it seems to be like all over Pinterest.
Okay, so before Pinterest.
I don't remember life before Pinterest.
Are you serious?
Kinda.
You spent the majority of your life without Pinterest.
I don't remember it.
Okay, so you've heard it.
It could not have been detailed without Pinterest, so therefore.
So you've heard about
really
it
happen?
in like one of these like haunting memes or something? Is that what you're saying?
Well, just different stories tend to pop up on there.
Have you ever seen like
it.
On the History Channel or Discovery Channel?
Actually,
in search
no,
of any of those?
I don't think I ever have.
Okay, me neither. So that's kind of like my basis for whether or not I've heard of something.
So okay, well, you judge things off TV. I judge them off Pinterest.
That's true.
We have different critiques.
I don't mean to judge it solely off TV, but
I'm surprised that there hasn't been anything on it.
You see what I'm saying?
Now that you mention that,
yes.
Yeah.
It's they keep saying it in all these different stories of how so many people would come out and see what was going on and they witnessed this activity happening. And I don't know. Personally, I think you might be hard pressed to find somebody today that has ever heard of it, let alone that knows about it. Were you going to say something?
Well, no, I was just going to say how it seems like, I mean, for all these people that supposedly witnessed these, this activity, like you would think the newspapers would have been quoting people and, I saw a potato fly across the room.
Yeah.
That's newsworthy.
I mean, today you watch any news station.
I mean, it would be on the Animal Planet.
Well, we have
CNN.
2 news stations in our area because
you could probably get a talk show on VH1.
Probably. We have the convergence of 2 news stations in our area because we're right off of I-75. We're close enough, about equal distance from Lima, Ohio and Toledo, Ohio. Both are kind of known for their crime rates. And that's no judgment. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
So whenever you get in if you're from any part of any city that's got this kind of consistent crime rate, you have these people who get interviewed by the news stations. They're like, yeah, I was walking out and I was picking up my trash. You know damn well they weren't just picking up their trash.
Oh, no. They was out there hanging out being nosy.
And this guy came out without his pants on, and he just ran around me. Like, they don't have the 1800s equivalent to that for this
I know.
case?
That's what I'm saying. Like
That's totally
now.
true. That's a great point. If thousands and thousands of people come out, again, do this for yourself. If you don't believe this, just look up Surrency haunting. Do a quick Google search. Every story is nearly the exact same.
So is this not like deemed newsworthy at the time?
Was.
I don't.
I think we read a couple times in the narrative how they did have like the stories in the newspapers. Thousands of people had come out because if there weren't stories in the newspaper, which is the prime method of message conveyance back then, you wouldn't have had thousands of people come out. So obviously there was stuff being written, and maybe you and I personally just didn't dig deep enough.
I'm not going to take the blame for this.
But I can't drive to Surrency and look at microfiche because I couldn't find any newspaper clippings myself right off the bat. So maybe we just kind of side-skirted it. Anyway, let's move on. So the coolest thing about this case is it's almost like an itemized list of things that happened. Like you could just like go list them.
Check.
Yep. So let's go through that. Unless you have anything to start with.
No, go ahead.
Okay. So I have this list, and one of these sites here, I think this is liveabout.com. Yep. Liveabout.com. List them all out. So we have unexplained screams.
Check.
That were heard. Yep. Voices coming from empty bedrooms. Plates, platters, and books that flew from their shelves, ink bottles that leapt off the table, doors opened and closed by unseen hands, the hands of clocks spun fast and even moved backwards. A chime clock struck 13. That's crazy. So you got like clocks pulling like style.
Yeah.
Right? Hot bricks fell from nowhere and landed on the roof and in the yard. Hot bricks.
That's perplexing.
So maybe I'm just out of touch with the brick making process. But essentially you have, and I don't know, this is just going off of maybe a very ancient traditional method of making bricks, but you have like a clay that you mold into the shape of that's what you want, which is usually like, how would you describe it? Like a 3D rectangle. What's that shape called?
3D rectangle.
Like a cube that's smushed.
A cube that is smushed.
There's a name, and I'm that lazy enough today to not come up with the 3-dimensional name for a rectangle. So we all know what bricks look like. You know what a brick looks like.
You know what a brick looks like.
In traditional methods, you take the clay and you put it in the shape that you want, and we're going to stick with traditional brick shape for today's explanation. And you would essentially put it in an oven.
Yeah.
Right? Like I don't know
fire.
Would it still be a kiln? Would you put that in a kiln? Like
think
a
so.
big
I mean, I'm
brick
not
kiln?
technically up on, how we make bricks, but that sounds good. We'll go with it.
You have to cure it, and then it hardens up, and then you can use it. You usually use some type of glue, which they don't call it glue. It's like a cement or a plaster or something like that kind of adheres them together. And
some type of mortaring.
Mortaring, yep. Put it into a structure that's useful to you. How would bricks fall from the sky, still hot, in 1870?
Yeah.
That's a great question.
That is a great question, because you'd have to have some type of fire, especially being in that, hot fire. And so, I would think you wouldn't be able to have a fire without there being smoke, which is going, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So, barring someone being in the immediate area
mm-hmm.
that is heating these bricks and then hurrying up and running to some unknown high place to throw them.
Yeah.
I'm kind of at a loss there.
You could drop them from a plane.
True.
If planes were around in 1877. But the one thing that was around in 1877 would have been a balloon.
Yeah.
Like a hot air balloon.
But you would see that. It's not like one's just going to sneak up and throw bricks and sneak out before you saw it.
That's true. At the same time, though, if you had a bunch of bricks, how heavy would you say a normal brick is?
A lot.
Just a normal brick?
Oh, one brick.
One brick.
I don't know.
10 pounds?
Maybe. I don't know.
That's a guess. 10 pounds-ish. This way more than your cat, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and how heavy is Oscar?
Oscar is probably 5-6 pounds.
Yeah, I probably guessed that. So Brick, easily probably 10 pounds.
Yeah.
Hot, falling from the sky. My first thought is not where they're coming from. Let's get the hell away.
Well, yeah.
Right? Because that could do some damage.
Yeah.
You throw bricks from somebody that, I don't know, from me to you, it's going to hurt, let alone falling from the freaking sky.
Yeah, and hitch in the clinker and you'll never be right again.
Yeah, so this is on a level of phenomenon.
Yeah.
Screw frogs falling from the sky. We got hot bricks.
Yeah.
And no one is, like, overly interested in this.
I know.
To go back and search for it, like, this is the continuance of this question that I have about this case, of it being supposedly so well known by thousands of people.
Yeah.
And extraordinary things were reported to have happened. Hot bricks fell from the
continuously.
goddamn sky.
Yeah.
And hardly anybody knows about
I know,
it.
like, you would think somebody would jump on the, well, let's like, go investigate this.
Yeah. I don't want to go into a big, long discussion on any more, anyway, that we already have, I should say, of how hot bricks can fall from the sky. Barring a trebuchet from 3 miles away.
Yeah.
Or a flat-out hoax.
Yeah.
This is crazy. Okay.
But this, and think, too, this went on for years and years and years. So, and, you would, I'm sure, constantly have people gawking and coming, you know what I mean, trying to catch some type of glimpse of activity.
Yeah.
And, according to the many articles, it says that people were never disappointed. Like, so the activity was constant over years and years and years.
Yeah.
If it were some type of hoax, surely at some point they would have been caught, or you know how hard that would be to just continuously be,
Yeah.
hoaxing.
Yeah, it's consistent.
Yeah.
Like it's a consistent level of damn.
Yeah.
Right? So let's do this real quick. Let me finish up this list because there's only a few more. The hot bricks fell from the sky. A pair of boots trod across the floor on their own. So we got like
How
boots
you don't think
just
that?
we got boots just walking. At mealtimes, object at the dinner table would dance around. So like your salad fork would just kind of jump up and just start dancing.
Or your salad.
Or oh man, that'd be messy. Logs rolled out of the fireplace. Which, yeah, that's pretty dangerous.
Oh,
actually.
yeah.
Several hogs and chickens appeared in the living room seemingly from nowhere, frightening one reporter out of his wits. Bed covers rolled up and down at night. So there is that list in particular.
So again, like, how are you going to manifest into the physical livestock?
Yeah.
Come on now.
So we have, and I wanted that list for one particular reason. Whenever we tell a story, also whenever you hear a story, I don't care what medium you hear it from, sometimes throughout the story, the way that the events are listed chronologically, it may not hit you as hard as to what is going on. Yes, you understand, like, wow, that's crazy. But having them listed like this, back to back to back, begs my question of, we've done other stories before like this.
Yeah.
We've done the Amherst poltergeist.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the other one that brings this to mind to me? Oh, duh, Keith Linder. Mr. Keith Linder with the Bothell Hell House. I have no idea why that slipped my mind. I'm just too excited today. We have both of these stories with incredible happenings, okay? And those two are a great example in comparison with this one, because you have the Amherst poltergeist, which was it 1830s?
I believe so, if I remember right.
Earlier 1800s, I believe. Don't quote me on that one. Earlier 1800s. And of course, you have Mr. Keith Linder with the Bothell Hell House that happened in the 2000s. Both cases, while separated by hundreds of years, were scrutinized to the point of craziness, right? Mm-hmm. Experiments were taken, or experiments were done. Questions were posed, samples were taken. And this is no offense to Mr. Keith Linder. This is no offense to the people involved with the Amherst poltergeist. But hot bricks fell from the sky. Livestock appeared in a living room. What else was there? Boots walked by themselves. Yet, if you ever look up this story, and I'm going to keep bringing it back to this, if you look up this story, the usual point of interest is of the activities, obviously, and how many people these activities drew, and how consistent the activity was. But it doesn't seem to be a whole lot of critical thought put into this one. Can you guess as to why? That's an honest question. That's not rhetorical.
No.
Like,
no.
Why were there no investigations done?
That's what I'm saying. Like, I just don't understand that.
Was it the Fox sisters?
The Fox sisters, yeah.
Okay, so we haven't done a show on this, so I'm going to kind of go off the cuff here in this discussion part. But I believe the Fox sisters were the ones that would like make poltergeist like knocks happen, right? There was a lot of talk of it being staged.
Yeah.
Did they ever admit to it being
I was
staged?
trying to think. I can't remember if they did or not.
Did
they? I
thought it was,
they didn't.
I thought they were, and they had admitted that like they slipped their foot in their shoe a certain way. No, wait, they would crack their fingers or something.
Maybe
they
that's
could
what it
crack
was.
their
yeah.
joints in a certain way to make it sound like a knock.
Yeah.
So people were on that right quick, like of the time. The
Yeah.
investigators came,
Yeah.
questioned them, tested them, checked it, and eventually, it came to be how it was. But why don't we have this with this case?
Yeah, that's what I'm not getting.
Yeah. Okay, I think I've harped on it long enough, so we can move on.
Just when I'm looking through the notes here, what I'm really curious about is, so they never had any kind of activity before.
Yeah, like he was out of the blue, right?
And then it just started up. He comes home. It starts up. It lasts for 5 years until he dies. And then it doesn't happen again. So right there, we can pretty much flush out the cause as being something geological. Because if it were something geological, it's going to be a constant type of thing.
Okay, I think you're alluding to the Surrency bright spot.
Yeah.
Okay, so can you kind of take us through that in an explanation, a talkative explanation, as opposed to the narrative? Explain that a little bit.
Well, they had some geological experts come in, and there were talk of it being swamp gas, or because of some type of water or fluid buildup under the Earth's crust. So I don't think it ever really said, they're like, well, it could be this, because the ground's kind of iffy there. But why are they the only ones that are having, if it was something geological, why are they the only ones? You've got a whole community full of people that are on this land, in this community on this land. Why are they the only ones that are having experiences?
Okay, let me help clarify real quick. They did find something geological, and it was called the Surrency bright spot.
Yeah. Which,
from what we understand, was just basically some type of liquid. They were thinking maybe water, but not necessarily water, kind of trapped between rocks, most likely, in like a convex shape. So we're looking at like a contact lens facing up shape. So essentially they were saying that they're not totally sure whether or not it was some type of radio waves or some type of waves coming in conjunction with the way this water was shaped to be able to reflect to make any kind of this activity happen.
Which really just, because when has that ever been linked, this type of convex shape, water mix.
Yeah.
When has this ever been documented as being the cause of livestock manifesting in the middle of your living room?
Okay. Now I feel like we've switched here.
No,
okay?
I'm just saying.
No.
I feel like that's really just kind of we're going to slap this excuse on here to give an answer to it.
From our usual point of views, I feel like, okay.
And I'm mad as hell about it, to be honest.
First off, you know of the I don't know how old the kind of reoccurring theory is, but that low frequency sound wave theory about that.
Like the Taos New Mexico hum.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, I'm totally aware of all that.
But it also can happen with hums that you can't even perceive.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
So the idea essentially is, if our listeners haven't heard of this before, that there's a certain frequency that you can't hear, and sometimes you can, and that's what you were talking about with the, what was it called again?
The Taos, New Mexico hum.
That's right.
Is what they call it.
So that one you can vaguely hear, but then
some people can, others can't.
Oh, okay. So I need to do more research on that.
Yeah.
But below that frequency range, it can also, this theory says it can also affect you. That essentially the low frequency vibration can like vibrate your, like, for example, your eyes or something like that and make you hallucinate.
Mm-hmm.
So that is like the physical characteristic. Is it a physical characteristic? Is that a proper term? Physical manifestation of this low end sound, that it could physically move your eyes to make you think you saw like an apparition or something, but also not necessarily just physically vibrating your eyes, but causing something to happen in your brain with the low frequency to make you hear things.
Well, it's thought that it affects our nervous system.
There you go. Okay,
because
yeah.
our nervous system is electrical impulse based.
Yeah. So in that explanation for that one, which you find totally fine with, right? Do you think that a low frequency can make you hallucinate, whether auditory or visual? And could that be misconstrued as a legitimate?
But to have, let's say you have 5 people all present at the same time. Okay, now if it was due to something like that, the chances that you are all 5 going to have a visual hallucination or auditory hallucination at the same time, first of all, and then you're all going to either hallucinate seeing or hearing the same thing.
That's true. Yeah.
I find that the odds of that statistically very small. So
you don't find the idea that if this were the case, that 5 different people should not be able to be hallucinating the same thing.
No. So if some type of hum or something like that is throwing off all 5, it would be like us being here and something is throwing off our electrical impulses in our nervous system. And I start hallucinating that there is a purple chicken in the corner.
Yeah. And I said, that's not a chicken, that's a can of Coke.
There you go.
When there's still no can of Coke.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, point taken. But they didn't exactly say how this phenomenon can contribute to it.
Yeah.
They're just saying that could be something. So, but you're right though.
And there again, you have this community, so small town, whatever.
Yeah.
And their house or their property is the only one affected.
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, I guess though, like,
come on.
If this is like a contact shaped lens thing, like there's got to be a focal point, right? I'm just grasping. But of course, the geological surveyors or the people who discovered this bright spot, I don't think they went in depth either.
Did they go out beyond the Surrency property? Did they go out in the community and?
Yeah, I mean that could be true too.
We don't know because nothing was ever.
But I don't think they're definitively saying that this is the cause. I think they just kind of saying maybe that this was a contributing factor. Or like somebody else is putting this together as a contributing factor. I don't think this is the end all be all answer. So to say that it's not true, I would say, okay, let's take a second, and can we agree that it could be a contributing factor? Could it be amplifying something? Could it make something worse?
And then the minute he dies.
That's true too. So I wanted to kind of break that down because I don't know. I mean, we talk about all the different other kinds
plausible.
Yeah. We always go over that. So
I'm going to X that one. I don't find that as being a legitimate.
The bright spot? The bright spot?
No, I'm not saying the bright spot or whatever it is that, I'm not saying it isn't there or anything like that. But I'm saying as far as pinning that as being even as being a possible reasoning behind this, just for me personally, I'm not satisfied with that.
That's crazy though, because like with some of these other cases, there's nothing.
You want to fight about it?
Kind of.
Do you?
Yeah, I feel like you're just brushing it off without any type of.
Well, let's go.
You wouldn't even be able to get out from behind that microphone without killing yourself.
I tell you, I swear to God, if I did, you'd see bodies or people scatter.
You have yourself blocked so
I
far
don't
in
care,
there.
5'2".
I mean, you got your pop filter wire coiled around. I don't know why you have your microphone set up like that. I think you're just asking for trouble.
I don't especially like you today.
Anyway, with most of the other cases we researched, like there isn't anything else to go off of besides maybe a historical record that says a person died, so we make that connection. Could it be that person who died? With this bright spot, all I want to say is, could it be making things worse? I mean, we talked about before the show.
And I could totally buy that.
I've heard about limestone or something with limestone and running water.
Running water, yeah.
So could this be a contributing factor, not the answer?
I can go with that.
Okay. That's what I wanted to get at. So, interesting to say the least, and having a little bit extra thing added in there that is not just historical, not just an unfortunate death. This is like a geological thing. Going back to, was it last week's? No, it was Amherst with the ley lines. That we kind of talked about the ley lines. So, what else do we have about this case?
Going on to, do you think it was something, if he was newly returned from war, that's a very negative experience. Did something attach to him in the course of him being gone?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Do you think that's a possibility?
I think it's a possibility. And then maybe was it worsened because he did have a preteen daughter, Clementine?
I was going to say the flip side of the paranormal coin.
Yeah. So feasibly, could this be a 3-part, a mystery that's made up of 3 different parts? What are you doing right now?
Which side of this microphone is the front?
I don't. We're just doing a podcast and he's looking around the microphone. Which side of this microphone is the front? Oh, I don't know. Let's tear it apart and check it out right now during the podcast. I
labeled it and I was listening to you, but like the way I have it set up is I look through the microphone to see you. And I don't see the front. Like I happen to look down and I see the little tag for the make and model, but I don't see front. I thought it said front.
You just derailed my entire thought process.
I'm sorry. So
no, okay. So what if it's something? This whole thing is due to all 3 issues. What if there's something in the land? I'm not saying a ley line, but some type of and I'm not saying portal, but some type of reasoning why energy might be concentrated in this area or in this community. So you have something there. And then you have the preteen daughter who may have repressed psychic abilities.
Just rocking Pat Benatar and halter tops, pissed off at the world.
How did that go to Pat Benatar?
I don't know. I just felt like just the angst of Pat Benatar would actually.
And then you have Dad coming home from the war.
Listen, we don't need all that rock and roll and I don't know what.
Like the Twisted Sister video?
Yeah. We have the 1870s equivalent to the Twisted Sister lecture.
Yeah.
Next thing
I want to rock.
Next thing you know, there's a pig falling from the ceiling in the kitchen.
Crap, never mind. But what if it is, all 3 things contributing to just making this hellstorm of activity?
Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't have a strong opinion about the entire case. And the reason why I don't is, again, I'm going to wrap it around on how odd this case.
That there's not more documented details into exactly what happened.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to hear Mrs. Smith from the neighboring farm. I want to hear her I want the total transcript.
Yeah. I didn't see, maybe there is. Is there like official books written on this? Because I didn't see actually any official titles besides like being a chapter in a compilation book.
Not that I know of, but we can go back and.
Yeah. So we had kind of a short week this week. So we had some stuff go down all over. So to get the ancillary research that we usually try to do beforehand, we do the actual research. And of course, Miss Repke did this one for us. So it was a little more contingent.
Yeah, our research wasn't that good this week. Well, we had the common butt of all of our jokes. Daryl decided to create a big this week. And had a massive heart attack.
It sounds like you're trivializing Daryl's heart attack. If you've listened to this show, any number of episodes, you probably have heard us give Daryl
is the butt of all of our jokes.
Some crap. And he unfortunately had a heart attack this week.
What is known as the Widowmaker heart attack.
And he is now home, and he's doing better. So we are happy to still have him around to give him crap.
That's right.
On a daily basis. So we're glad to have him in better health. So So I kind of did contribute to a lot of this. So we do want to again thank Mr. Epke for doing the writing for us, and then we want to thank Daryl for not dying. So that's where
shout
we're at
outs.
for this week.
Hey, shout out Daryl for not dying. High five, buddy. All right.
All right. Do you have any other points of interest for this?
I don't think so. I think yeah.
A couple weeks ago, did I mention it yet that I went on vacation? Yeah, I did. We mentioned how it was super hot and stupid. We took the kids to Disney World, and we did drive through Georgia.
You should have went to Surrency, man.
And I looked it up, and is it Appling County where Surrency, Georgia is near Savannah, I believe.
I was gonna say Savannah.
And so when we drive down, I think we hit, and I'm just out of touch with Georgia geography. But when you get over the state line, you hit, is it Atlanta? Not too long after.
Yeah, I believe so.
Going from north to south, you hit Atlanta. And then, was it the next real big town? Is Macon, right? Is it Macon, Georgia?
I think so. It's been so long since I've been down that way, but I think so.
And in order to go to Surrency from the route to Orlando, Florida, it's a little too long of a route to go out.
Yeah.
On top of that, and you heard it in the narrative, and then I also did a quick search on our way down. There's like nothing there.
Yeah,
anymore.
so it would be kind of
like, and hopefully people, if you're listening from Surrency, Georgia, I don't get this incorrect, and if I do, feel free to contact me and correct me. But I don't even think it's that big of a town.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Like it's dead.
Just a little small.
There's not much there. I don't even think they have like a tour thing on there. I don't even think there's a monument. Yeah. So it's literally just a story.
Huh.
Like unlike if you go to West Virginia, like Point Pleasant, they got the big Mothman statue.
Oh yeah,
and they're kind
the
of capitalizing
museum, the whole town, kind of, or even like the Wisconsin Hodag.
Yeah, I mean,
so you would kind of think
they've
that
incorporated it into the touristy section of the town, and Surrency just really doesn't do that. In fact, I think I heard a couple quotes where people have tried to do research on it, and they had talked to some people.
Well, because who owns that land now? I'm
not sure.
I wonder that. And it may be one of those. They're just such a small town. Maybe they don't want all these outsiders coming in, and you know what I mean.
Some of these researchers who had interviewed some of these people who have lived there for a while, obviously in the modern times, just said people just don't talk about it. Yeah. They didn't exactly say that people didn't want to talk about it or like it was a sore spot. It was just like it just doesn't get brought up. No one really cares. Which is just like I said, keep bringing it up, but like you got Amityville in New York.
Yeah.
And I think they changed the address.
They did.
So you have some places and some stories.
But they changed the address, or the house number or whatever, but like you can't, the house still looks the same.
Yeah, but in a pre-Google world, it would have been a little harder to find that address.
Yeah.
So you have some of these stories and some of these cities and towns that go out of their way to make this stop happening, to make people just not care anymore. And then, I mean, from what it sounds like, and maybe it's just good old southern Georgia. Yeah, it's not that big of a deal, but we just don't care. Sure.
Could be.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
We got much better things to do. I mean.
Boiled peanuts.
Boiled peanuts. If you are not from that area of the South to know what a boiled peanut is, look it up. It's great.
Have you ever had one?
I no, but I almost did on my way back.
I have not, but like you cannot go down the interstate there without seeing 50 million
boiled peanuts
signs for boiled peanuts.
Yep, it's true.
Okay.
All right, we done for today?
We're done.
Done. Okay. Real quick. I do want to add in same caveat as last week. If you want to get hold of us, please do so. Can you give them the email address one more time?
Supernatural Tendencies Podcast at gmail.com.
There it is. We said it in the outro, but we want to reiterate it this week.
Yes. And be sure to, if you are on Facebook, jump on over and check out our new Supernatural Tendencies TV.
Yes, please do so.
Because we have lots of upcoming shows. And it's going to be awesome.
Yep. Also, for the Musicians Spotlight, I do have a few more bands lined up. This week was hectic. and totally forgot to line one up this week. I have a bunch of them lined up.
You're fired.
But some of them don't send me the stuff right off the bat because, especially when I first started doing this, I was booked like 2 months out. So some of the people on the back end of this, I forgot to follow up and actually grab that stuff from. And now I'm to the point where I think I got like 6 musicians and six artists, bands lined up, quote unquote, but I don't have their stuff. So I had to scramble today and just put out a post. And thank you for all those who came through. So especially Miss Lilith from Leechwife came through and just like hit me right there. Thank you.
Bam.
Yep. So she's on the Musician Spotlight, which we'll hear after the outro. But for anybody who knows any artists, any bands, any genre. I mean, if you want to do, care what you do. We tend to have a lot of metal, but that's just because from my experience in the bands that I'm in, I happen to know that community a little better. But I don't care if you're a hip hop artist, if you do polkas, if you want to do electronic stuff. I love a good
polka.
Polkas are good. Folk, I don't care. Let me know. Get at me. All I need is an MP3 from you, preferred. I have ripped some YouTube videos before. It's a little more difficult for me to work with, quality-wise sometimes. But please don't hesitate. Get a hold of me. Same email address. I try to keep it on the email address because I was inundated when I first did this on Facebook, and that's kind of where I dug my own hole, is now I can't find some of those bands that were suggested to me. So if you have a band or you know of some bands, email me at the website.
Or you can get at us on Facebook too, Messenger.
Yeah. No, please. Yes, do that. But if you hear this first, please email me at the email, because I'm going to be able to collect those and keep them sorted much better than having to go through Messenger, because I found that out last time. But anyway, you can get a hold of me. I'm not going to complain. But anyway, I think I'm done. Are you done?
I'm done.
We're done. We'd like to say thank you one more time for hopping on board with us this week. If you have any comments, questions, critiques, or suggestions for new topics, please send us an email at supernaturaltendentiespodcast@gmail.com. We also encourage you to get over to our Facebook page at Supernatural Tendencies Podcast and go ahead and elbow drop that like button for us. We're also available on Instagram at Supernatural Tendencies Podcast and Twitter at Weird and Scary, if that's more to your liking. Please pass us around to your friends as well, where they can find us on Apple Podcasts, CastBox, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and most other podcast platforms.
And remember, if you're having any type of paranormal activity or extraterrestrial contact, I offer private coaching online via Skype or Facebook Messenger to assist you with those issues. Feel free to visit me at ChristyJohnsonSadler.com for contact information.
Till next time, this has been Alex.
And Christy.
See you later. Oh man, we're back again. Thank you for sticking around. I knew you wanted to stick around to hear Leechwife today. Listening?
I did.
You did? Oh,
I did.
I was talking to the listeners, but you too.
Well, I want it, yeah.
All right. Well, you listened to the outro. You listened to all the housekeeping stuff. And here we are again with our Musician Spotlight. Musician Spotlight this week, like we had said, it's Leechwife. Miss Lilith, who came through in the pinch for me because of my lack of preparation for actually having a physical copy of a song this week. So I knew I wanted to get her on because she's, again, part of this collective that we keep coming back to for over-the-counter culture collaborative. Got to play a show with Leechwife, and my first impression of it, because I showed you the song too, and the song we're using today is called Goat Milk. And the first time I heard Goat Milk, right? Actually, the first time I heard anything from Lilith, if I could describe to you, if you're floating in space, being pricked pleasurably by needles while listening to some type of goth electronic stuff. Like that's kind of like how it felt to me. And I say that, and why are you smiling? I'm putting together like my feelings from it, because I think all of my band Dirt Worship like stopped, like, as you know, together we stood together and listened, and it was my first time, and I don't think it was our drummer's Randy his first time hearing, because he kind of gave us a heads up on kind of like what the style was, but it was Quinn and I's first time, and you have to stop, and you just feel yourself just kind of like,
to me it's kind of got that, the movie Fight Club.
Yeah.
And some of those scenes, where things are just like spinning and all that, it's kind of like that.
Yeah.
That it reminds me of.
Because this is kind of a special style. Would you agree that this is
a
style in itself, and kind of like a sub genre, in my opinion? Totally cool.
What blows my mind is that she is the band.
Yeah. She does everything.
All of this. Like, are you kidding me?
Yep. Unless she has like a little spot where she may want someone to come up and kind of help her. She does all the stuff herself simultaneously on stage.
Yeah.
So if I had to...
go, girl.
If I had to describe the genre to somebody who isn't in kind of these sub genres of stuff, and if my description is kind of like, what does that even mean? If I had to describe it to somebody, it's almost like a
spacey, haunting,
9 Inch Nails.
Kind of.
If you mixed all of that together and you need a starting point band sound from something you may be familiar with, like it's like an NIN kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that, but that is to say that you're not used to all these genres. So hopefully that wasn't offensive to her, because
we definitely didn't mean it as offensive.
So no, not at all. So if we're trying to describe it to people who have no idea, have never heard any of this before, like that's kind of like, in my opinion, would be the starting point. Like if you've heard of 9 Inch Nails and you've kind of heard their song, that would be like kind of like an introduction to how this genre kind of goes. So with that, if we're going to get technical and in kind of the music theory kind of thing, she actually uses microtonal approaches, which is not the normal semitonal that you would hear in most music. So if you kind of like look at a guitar and you have the semitones, the whole step, half steps, her guitar is set up kind of different, almost entirely different, to be honest with you. It looks crazy. I've never personally dealt with them, and I don't want to go too deep into it, just because I don't want to make myself look dumb. But that is a pretty cool aspect of what she does on stage. The general theme of this band is, and I'm just gonna say what she told me. What she told me: occult, drug use, and trans empowerment. So we have a lot of misunderstanding today of the trans community, and I think Leechwife is really putting it out there to force acceptance. You have some people who just kind of roll over and stuff like that, and totally dig what she's doing to get the message out there of acceptance. So she's the first band that I've really had personal experience with that actually has that mentality, and I love it.
Yeah.
This song in particular we're going to play today, called Goat Milk. She finds it kind of funny because most people, when they hear the song Goat Milk, they're probably just thinking just milk from a goat. But she says it was the idea of like a metaphor for Baphomet. If you don't know who Baphomet is, for like the satanic Baphomet, and kind of like a roundabout way for drugs.
Oh.
So, I always kind of do these caveats too. Some bands that we're gonna have on, how can I even say it, are a little more palate friendly right off the bat with mainstream media. We had Charwall, pretty easily explainable. They do great things, but it's a little kind of more known. So I like to give a heads up when we kind of go into some of these genres that the mass populace at large may not have a lot of familiarity with. That was tough. Why was that so tough to say? My tongue just stopped. But what Leechwife is doing is special. So I want you to take the time and I want you to listen to it. And I want you to understand how the sound and the feeling and the vibes incorporate with the general themes that she had kind of explained.
Yeah, where she's coming from.
Yeah, because if you go see her live, which by the way, she'll be at Dirty Dungarees down in Columbus, Ohio. I think she had told me it was December 11th.
Does she have a Facebook page we can go like and
she does
see where she's going? Okay, great.
Yep. I think it's just at Leechwife. I think it's one word. Oh, it's the 10th. Sorry, 10th of December. She'll be at Dirty Dungarees playing. So if you get out there, I think she plays the Space Bar quite a bit too. She might have been there this weekend. So she might be set up there at the Space Bar as well. My computer's making noises already. So we are going to, I want to stop talking now and let you hear this song. One more time. Thank you, Lilith, for
thank you
for coming through in a pinch for me. And everybody better take the time to listen to this song again called Goat Milk. Take a listen.